settled off, they're all independent, you're able to control the entire bureaucracy. Because you're able to coordinate, but they're not. Okay, does that make sense? So what we learn is that in history, as societies become much more mature, as they become much more bureaucratic, secret societies have much more power. And today, we are living in a heavily bureaucratic world, and therefore, these secret societies have more and more power. Okay? And does that make sense? The other thing that we need to remember is that there are thousands and thousands of secret societies. Okay, so let's name some of them. The Freemasons, the Jesuits, the Mormons, the Frankists. Okay, lots and lots, okay? We'll go over each one later on this semester. What you need to remember is that at this stage in development, when society is bureaucratic, when they become parasites on the bureaucracy, they are incentivized to work together to achieve their vision. Okay? But once they create the world government, then they will fight each other. But at this point in the development, they will work and actively collaborate together. Okay, so 9/11, JFK, moon landing, they were all working together. Okay? So we'll be studying this more as the semester progresses. All right, so let's conclude. Sorry. Okay, let's conclude. Okay. Sorry, Okay, so let's talk about the atomic bomb. This is Henry Truman, okay? Henry Truman is the 33rd president of the United States. Number 33, right? He's also a 33rd degree Freemason, which is the highest Freemason, okay? Why is it important? Because he's the one who ordered the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, this is controversial because at this point, America didn't have to nuke Japan. Why? Because America was firebombing Tokyo. You can see the damage, right? In Tokyo, all the houses are wooden. Guess what? If you drop fire bombs on these houses, everything burns. So America was just burning Japan to death. They didn't have to drop the nuclear bombs. Okay? You can see the devastation, okay? This is Tokyo. They burned everything down. There was talk that if America launched a land invasion of Japan, lots of people would have died. But you didn't have to invade Japan because you were just bombing Japan to ashes. So why did they drop the bomb? Well, the other argument is that they dropped the bomb to scare the Soviet Union. But that only encouraged the Soviet Union to get their own bomb, right? So you have to ask yourself, why did they do this? And if you go back to the 33-degree story, okay, which is just explained, it gives you an explanation. I'm not saying it's right, but it offers you a possibility. Okay, so as you can see, all these major cities, including Babylon, including Baghdad, Damascus, Hiroshima, are all part of 33-degree latitude, okay? Guess what, guys? A lot of famous athletes wear number 33. And they are Freemasons, okay? So this is Scottie Pippen and Shaquille O'Neal. We know they are Freemasons. Larry Bird and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar also wear number 33. Okay? 33 is important. Jesus died when he was 33 years old. The word God, Elohim, appears 33 times in Genesis. King David reigned for 33 years. The Vedic pantheon, Hinduism, has 33 deities. Human spine has 33 bones. Okay, so number 33 appears over and over. So the secret societies see number 33 as a magic number. The moon landing, okay? I'm not saying the moon landing was faked, but there's an argument that it is impossible for humans to leave something called the Van Allen belt. Okay? The Van Allen belt is this electromagnetic field that protects us from cosmic radiation. So that the belts themselves have heavy radiation. So if you go into it, you die. But also if you leave the Van Allen belts, there's nothing to protect you from cosmic radiation, so you could die as well. So some scientists actually believe that it's impossible to leave Earth. Okay, we'll just die. I don't know how they were able to do this. And as you may know, right now, a lot of countries, America, China, are trying to get back to the moon. They're having a really hard time. Okay? They're having a hard time because NASA lost all the technology, lost all the footage, lost all the data. Oops. Oh well. Okay. So how was NASA able to keep this secret? Well, guess what? A lot of their most important people were Freemasons. Okay? This is Buzz Aldrin, one of the 3 astronauts. He was a Freemason. Okay? John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth, was a Freemason, 33-degree Mason, okay? As was James Webb, one of the first NASA administrators. James Webb, Kenneth Klett. So these people are embedded throughout the bureaucracy. And because they're able to coordinate, they have complete control over the bureaucracy. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter who's at the top. What matters is which bureaucrats are able to work together to achieve their vision. This is Werner von Braun, and he was one of the first NASA leaders. And he's a German. He was actually a Nazi who was brought over after World War II to help America build its space program. Okay? And he had a friend or a colleague named Carol Rosen. And we don't know if this is true. Okay? But what Carol Rosen tells us is that when von Braun died, he told us that America, the American government, was first and foremost concerned about spending money on space weapons. Okay? And to do this, what America will do is continue to manufacture threats to justify all the spending on weaponry. Okay? And then she lists the different threats. First, they will use Russians, okay? The Russians. We have to defeat the Russians in the space race. Then they'll be like, you know what? Terrorists, okay, 9/11. Then, third world countries, the crazies, like North Korea, okay? Iran. And then, an asteroid. We need space weapons to protect the Earth from asteroids. And then the last thing is a fake alien invasion, okay? Aliens. Okay, does that make sense? So we'll talk about this later towards the end of the semester about a fake alien invasion, okay? That's part of the plan. And they've been seeding this for a long time. So I'll conclude by talking about different possibilities. You don't have to believe me, okay? In fact, there are, I think, 5 different possibilities as to what happened, okay? The footage looks fake. So how to explain this? Well, the first explanation is it's real footage. And we should just believe the government, okay? But we also need to believe that they lost all the footage, lost all the technology, lost all the data. Okay, that's possibility number 1. Just believe what the government tells you. Possibility number 2 is America went to the moon, but the astronauts discovered too many secrets on the moon. Like there are space aliens on the moon. They can't tell us, so they create this fake footage. Okay, that's the second possibility. Third possibility is America went to the moon, but because of the lighting, because of the difficulty of filming, they couldn't actually take any footage. So they made it up to please the American people. Okay? The fourth possibility is America went to the moon, but NASA decided to create this fake footage to fool the Soviets, right? Because if it's real footage, the first Soviets might be able to copy the technology, so we should just fake this thing and make fun of the Soviets, okay? Let's fool the Soviets. So the Soviets could not reverse engineer the success. Okay? That's also a possibility. Right? And the last possibility, of course, is America didn't go to the moon. And it's entirely your choice which possibility to believe. Okay? I'm just proposing different possibilities out there. So how can we know the truth? Well, we can use game theory to logically deduce what happened. Okay? So let's use game theory. All right. So we know that NASA's Apollo program cost $26 billion. Between 1960 and 1973. That's almost $200 billion today. They spend all this money, they need to produce a result, right? This is almost like 4% of all government spending in America. That's a lot of money. also, you don't know this, but by 1969, America was falling apart for 3 reasons. First of all, America was fighting this pointless and hopeless war called Vietnam. Tens of thousands of Americans were dying for no reason. Hundreds of thousands of young Americans were protesting in the streets. The American dream seemed to be dying, okay? That's the first problem. Second problem is that the Soviets were destroying the Americans in the space race. The Soviets were the first to send an animal to space, the first to send a man to space, the first to orbit the Earth, the first to walk in space, the first to send a lunar module to the moon. So it seemed as though communism was superior to capitalism. It seemed as though the Soviet system was better than the American system, okay? There's a real fear that the Soviets would get to the moon first, okay? And also the last thing is, remember, in 1963, JFK was killed. JFK was the prince, the king. So that put Americans in a very bad mood. But then later on, other prominent Americans like Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, they were all killed as well. So 1969, America was divided, was falling apart. People felt hopeless, right? So what this means is that if America sent a mission to the moon and all the astronauts died or they didn't get there, America would have been broken, okay? People would have been depressed. And so according to game theory, America could not afford to take the risk of sending people to the moon. If they died, if it failed, America would have looked like idiots. Okay? But of course, there's always a counter-argument. The counter-argument is, okay, this makes sense, but why did the Soviets call out the Americans and said, you guys faked this? Right? What? America and the Soviet Union were in competition with each other. Everyone believed America went to the moon, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that America didn't go to the moon. So why did the Soviets tell the world? Okay? That I can't answer for you. All right? So I just leave you with this thought. Okay? But what I believe is, within the next 2 years, the truth will slowly start to come out. And you will see for yourself what really happened. So this class is not meant to tell you what happened. This class is just meant to give you different possibilities and give you tools to understand or figure out for yourself what might have happened, okay? All right? So any questions before we conclude?
As we said, the secret society might have might fighting with the governments, but why don't they send part of their people into the governments? Why don't they work together?
No, they are the government.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, right. Because secret societies cannot exist outside of bureaucracies, right? They have power because they're able to coordinate within the bureaucracy in a way that other organizations cannot. Right? So only when the bureaucracy has reached a certain maturity, a certain size, can secret societies have true power. Right? So secret societies are the ones who control the government, basically. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, great guys. So we'll continue this next week, okay? All right.